The tragedy of iPad kids. Disclaimer, please do not misconstrue this video as telling people how to be a parent. This is simply my presentation of anecdotal and empirical. You got what? I didn't even get to read that. Whose bedroom are we going through right now? My 3-year-old tab raging at his iPad. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. It's not even that they're iPad kids, bro. It's just like, it's what they're consuming on the iPad. Like, if you have the iPad and you throw like some drawings, like drawing games, if you give them like Jetpack Joyride, are they really gonna? Were y'all getting mad over Jetpack Joyride? Jetpack, it was just never was a game that was that serious to me. Like, give them like a game that's like light. Hey, I'm live on Twitch every single Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Link is in the description. I better see you there. Y'all got mad at Jetpack? Jetpack was not a like rage-inducing game. Give them a drawing app. The kid's bored. I know they'll know how to use it. The downfall of Gen Alpha.
Provided you aren't one, the term iPad kid strikes fear and horror into the average person. The screaming, mind-numbing, zero attention span, booger-encrusted tablets, pregnant huggy-wuggy. Bro.
Pregnant who?
It's enough to make most of us in the early to middle part of Gen Z reel in shock as to how bad those younger than us have it. This time,
I always was told that iPad kids is considered someone who like eats and they watch something. Cause I'll eat and watch something. Like, but like, if I'm at like a table and I'm by myself, I'm not about to just eat in silence. No, nigga, it's not the 60s. Even in the 60s, they had TVs in the background.
Time range from about 2000 to 2007 just barely avoided the bullet that was, quote, tablet time, but still got to experience the internet from a young age. Call us a hybrid between millennials using the internet in weird and squeaky clean ways, and Gen Alpha just drooling over bootleg Bangladeshi Paw Patrol animations. In this shorter video, I want to explore the tablet kid phenomenon,
Shout out Paw Patrol,
its causes, the current situation, and its potential future consequences. Namely, I want to talk about how the parents of Gen Alpha, millennials, partially fueled this nightmare, and how kids today are negatively affected by constant screen time, using a mix of anecdotal evidence and real science, as well as how that's affected the internet as a whole. Alright, let's take a dive into the
I feel really bad for these parents because I remember I was walking with my little cousin. You know, I was just taking him to the park because I was just babysitting for a few hours because his mom had to go do hair for a wedding, whatever, you know, that's irrelevant. I was just with him at the park and I'm just seeing this kid on the top of the slide just playing with his tablet. I was like, okay. I just took note. We were walking around the park, you know, I was just keeping an eye on my little cousin as he was going playing. I was just walking around the park. I come around full circle. I see him on top of the slide playing on his tablet. So I'm like, okay. Let's do a little joke. Let's have a little fun. I went up to him. I'm like, I said this here. You keep playing on that tablet, someone might snatch you. I just went back. I went down the slide, just slid right past him, and kept on walking around and around. He ran to his parents, yelling, "Mom, he threatened to touch me." Nigga, is that what I said? I am trying to help society move forward, and I'm getting accused of something I didn't say. That's why I hate people.
Tragic fall of Gen Alpha. But really quickly, we have to do two
What's the point
troop roll call.
Huh? Someone said, "What's the point of going to a park with the iPad?"
Chief Guy, Bracelet, Yellow, Prime ER, Tab,
Don't ask me.
BR2, Frisk, Andy, Rupert, Limp are here today, alongside.
You'll be surprised on how many kids bring their tablets to parks. You would be surprised. Kids bring their tablets to parks, okay? That's not like a crazy thing.
Drizzly, Dog Dimmadome, Dance Band, Nep, Squonk, Numi, Foreskin Eater, F. Giros, Mika Henderson, and Game Boy Patreon.
Foreskin who?
Enlist in the $2 troop by using the link in the description.
Oh, I didn't even know what we were looking at.
First of all, for those of you born without little cousins, who is Gen Alpha? Well, the dates vary a little bit, but in general, kids born from about 2010 to the present are stated as being members of it. Similarly to Gen Z,
My
whose
uncle haven't
generation was
gave my
born
little
around the
cousin
growth
an
of the
iPad
internet,
yet.
millennials whose generation was born around the adoption
He's
of
kinda
modern
scared of
computing and
doing it.
telecommunications, and Gen X, who was born alongside the American counterculture movement. Gen Alpha was born around the rapidly increasing adoption of the smartphone. Because, by the time this generation knew how to use multiplication tables, smartphones were basically ubiquitous.
Yep.
So Gen Alpha basically grew up alongside them. This means that they were completely fluent in how to
How
use
old were
technology
y'all when y'all
basically
first got
from
your
birth,
phone?
making them the first generation to be that way. Couple this with the fact that their parents,
think I was like
millennials,
6.
are just barely out of
Flip
touch
phone.
enough to not
No.
really grasp what their kids are
A
doing.
sliding phone.
You have a disastrous situation. Fair warning though, to all of my lovely millennial fans out there, all 25 of you probably,
6 or 8.
this is not an all-encompassing statement. I understand not all millennials are completely out of touch, but this is more so a general statement meant to describe a general problem. Millennials, born from about 1980 to 1995, were around and conscious for the birth of the internet, meaning
Yeah.
many of them are very capable when it comes to using computers.
And then you have people like my mom who used she used a typewriter. Woo! Woo! A type what? Oh my lord! Oh, old ass woman.
However, they were pretty much around when the internet was a Wild West, where Smosh reigned supreme and companies hadn't yet realized how to milk the ever-living shit out of the impressionability of kids. The same goes for Gen Z, being born around 1995 to 2010, where most of us, especially in the former half of the generation, grew up right before these corporations figured it all out.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Gen Alpha, since they started using technology, were immediately in the crosshairs of big tech and other companies with the sole purpose of collecting user data and abusing the short attention spans of children for their own gain. Now, of course, much of this data collection is illegal under COPPA, but that didn't stop YouTube from doing it till like
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Couple this with the fact that parenting is hard. The habit of parents throwing their kids in front of a tablet to make them shut up and stop being annoying has become commonplace.
Parenting's hard, but how did parents do it before tablets? I don't understand. How is it because prices have skyrocketed so much that both parents feel the need to work now? So now, one parent can't stay home with the child, which inevitably is causing this whole consumption of the internet because it's constantly the parents are constantly tired because society has made it to where parents have to work. Is that what's happening? Probably. Capitalism hitting like a bitch. I'm not gonna lie.
Most adults, unknowing of the ramifications of this when it first started around 2010 to 2012, didn't really pay attention to it. As a personal anecdote, sometime last year I was eating dinner at a restaurant with family. Then, this other big-ass family comes to sit down next to us. Within 5 minutes, and I shit you not, literally 5 minutes, a child, likely between the ages of 4 to 7 years old, starts squirming around. Then that squirming turns to complaining, which turns to borderline yelling and screaming. This little asshole picks up a silverware napkin and weakly throws it across the table, prompting the dad who, instead of removing the child from the situation and punishing him in some way, just gives the, "Well, son, let's not be rude, okay, little buddy?" The child...
You know, I've seen this happen, and then I have two sides of my family where one has to distract them with the tablet, the other one is just like they're a little bit calmer, they don't need the tablet. But the thing with like the calmer side is that they feel the need to like get out of their seat and like walk around the table. They don't go bothering other people. It's just like they don't want to just sit down in one spot. And I kind of get it. Kids don't want to sit down at no dinner table in a restaurant. When I was 5, I didn't want to sit at no dinner table. Nigga, I want to play. So, I mean, I don't blame them.
The child continues being a little prick until finally, 20 minutes later, the mother just gives her kid the phone or tablet. I can't remember which one it was. And the table's quiet for the rest of the time we were there. This is just one example of the times I've watched mostly millennial parents use tablets or phones as a way to shut their kids up instead of, correcting the behavior through punishment of some kind. I mean, look at me. I was a nightmare child. I used to headbutt people.
I can't say
When
too much because when I didn't want to be out to eat with my family, I'd be like, Mom, can I get my DS? I'm about to play Pokemon. I don't want to be here. And the thing, like, as a child is you have no choice. See, adults, if they don't want to go out to eat, they don't have to go, right? But if they want to go out to eat and you don't want to go out to eat, you just have to go out to eat. So I feel like sometimes it's fair to let the child have their DS or phone or whatever, just out of like respect, because they might just not want to be there. It's really it's a balance. It's like a balance that has to be created.
Get tossed a tablet or a phone to watch life hack videos on YouTube. Again, this is not a blanket statement, and this usually applies to middle-class American millennials from my experience. But you may be thinking, so what? Parents need to shut their kids up every now and then. What's the big deal? Well, tragically, due to the popularization of abusing the impressionability of young minds...
Why do you keep showing this pregnant mommy wommy, bro? What's the character name?
Kids are often roped into weird places purposely to hook them on harmful or weird content that negatively affects them in the present
Sonic
and in the
wants
future
to get pregnant
in ways our parents can't even begin to understand.
That's the animation I need to look up. Hold up. No, I need to add that. I need to add that to the word animation tab.
Anyways, I'm sure many of you watch this video have witnessed these effects firsthand via the fiery fisto pain from your little cousin Joshua McWaldrip when his mom tells him to go play outside for once. Unfortunately for many people with children who are unaware of how shit the internet has gotten since its Wild West days in the 2000s.
Speaking of playing outside, one of my cousins does play outside with their VR headset on. And they've punched my grandpa's truck multiple times because they forget where they are with the headset on. And they've also broken like 5 TVs because they forget where they are with the headset on.
Their kids can get thrust into some really weird places at shockingly young ages. We're talking between 3 to 6 years old. Let me ask you a question. Do you think a child born in 2020 should be allowed to watch this kind of content? I mean,
wait, what's the content again? Let me evaluate for myself.
2020 should be allowed to watch this kind of
pregnant nerd makeover. Skibbity Toilet is in jail. What does that even mean? What does that mean? Yo,
of content. I mean, look at this. It's not
Yo,
exactly
Gabba Gabba!
overtly inappropriate, but kids at that age should content. I mean, look at this.
Do kids watch this anymore, man?
It's not exactly overtly inappropriate, but kids at that age should be at least educationally nurtured in some way. And before some people say stuff like, well, what about SpongeBob? That show's pointless. Well, I mean, yeah, you're not entirely wrong. But here's where the major difference lies. Quality and ethics.
Don't ever call SpongeBob pointless. Don't ever call SpongeBob pointless. Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs? No. The only word that you could describe SpongeBob is words like great, amazing, different maker, iconic. You said worthless? Skibbity Toilet's fucking worthless. Its head's coming out of the toilet saying skibbity. And they try to make some plot out of nowhere with that BS. Like, bro, come on now.
SpongeBob isn't trying to capitalize on unknowing parents or impressionable kids for a quick buck. Essentially, at the very least, it's relatively harmless. Well,
Curious George, nice.
These random channels that are a part of the less documented Elsa Game Wave 2 phenomenon are doing, to no one's surprise, everything they can to hook kids on Wave 2 phenomenon are doing, to no one's...
What is going on here? I feel like we just skipped a couple of... We skipped a couple of something. We skipped a couple of something.
Surprise, everything they can to hook kids on this low quality content to essentially keep them coming back for ad revenue. Look, let's be honest, how many of you lied about your age on almost every platform to say you were over 18 to avoid extra regulations? I'll bet most of you. So, while YouTube Kids might be useful for very young children, kids that are older than like 8 can very easily bypass this and just watch all of this depraved content, especially considering...
Yo, I'm gonna follow down the rabbit hole because this, my curiosity is so built right now. Like I'm so curious about what they got going on, man.
I think their parents have been throwing them in front of a tablet since birth.
I'm so curious.
Looking through the YouTube Kids app, we can see a variety of mostly tame shows and a couple of good ones. And yeah, Bluey is honestly pretty decent, but the community sure as hell isn't. However, even on a heavily sanitized YouTube Kids, you can still find incredibly pointless and mind-numbing content for children. Like, why the actual hell does Talking Tom have his own damn cartoon? Like,
I don't understand why parents just do not give their kids Netflix Kids. Like, there's a Netflix Kids section, and they have Johnny Test, Fairly Odd Parents, Tom and Jerry, Pokemon, Dragon Ball. It may not have the full series, but kids don't care. Naruto, Bleach, like they have all that peak on Netflix. I hate that I'm saying Netflix has peak. That honestly disgusts me, but I'm just saying.
This
bro.
is unironically the type of shit I see parents putting in front of their kids.
Cars. Every kid should be required to watch Cars and Lion King. Every child. I feel like to be in an English speaking child, and every English speaking child should watch Cars or Lion King. And if they don't, they should get whatever legal documents they have in whatever country they are thrown away. We should just send them to an island somewhere else because they don't deserve to be with the rest of us.
In restaurants. It just serves absolutely no purpose other than to mindlessly entertain and numb their brains. Even though ElsaGate content isn't at its peak anymore, the fact that children are just rotting in front of this chiefly fast-paced, little dialogue, short attention span having content is really not good for their brains. But so I don't sound like I'm just making shit up, let's take a look at some of the results from a study conducted about early smartphone usage in children.
Okay.
While the report acknowledges that there literally hasn't been enough time for this phenomenon to produce significant consequences to do a full study.
Oh, we don't have enough. That means it's gonna be like cigarettes. They didn't do a full study on cigarettes until it was too late, and all those people had black lungs. Oh God, they're gonna have black brains. Why is black always a negative connotation, man? Ugh.
An important question that has been asked is, if these activities become the predominant method to calm and distract young children, will they be able to develop their own internal mechanisms of self-regulation?
What does that mean?
Similarly, they also wonder of the social and emotional consequences of putting kids in front of tablets at an early age, interfering with their ability to have empathy, social, and problem-solving skills that kids just naturally learn through playing. Let's compare the YouTube Kids front pages to the type of stuff I used to watch as a kid.
Okay.
When I was growing up, there were a few main shows I remember watching a lot.
Like?
The Backyardigans, Little Einsteins,
Peak?
SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Gumball,
Little Einstein's wasn't peak to me, but I mean it was cool, but it was not peak. Everything else was peak so far.
Blue's Clues, Oswald,
Oh my-
with the occasional
Oswald was actually kind of cool. Let me not hold all Oswald. Oswald was kind of cool.
Pingu, Kipper the Dog, Fireman Sam, Wonder Pats, and the Upside Down Show. Man, I actually was just searching through this list of noggin shows. And
I don't even know what half of all those were. The only one I knew was
Comment
the
down below
Wonder
if you're an
Pets.
Upside Down Show fan. Anyways,
What is
comparing
Upside
it to
Down
the YouTube
Show?
Kids homepage, it's drier than the Atacama, with literally like one or two relatively decent shows being available for kids to watch. The rest is, I'll leave it up to you if you think these videos are of any significance.
Look at Curious George.
At the very least, shows like the Upside Down Show and even SpongeBob promote creativity and just being a kid above all else.
There was this one, I would like to say this show was a, what do they call where like someone secretly enjoys it? I forgot the wording for it. It's a secret pleasure? I don't know. It was a show where they had eyes on the fingers, and they would just the whole characters were just like crawling like this, and they would use the middle finger to like sniff things and stuff, and they were just crawling with their hands like that. Guilty pleasure, yes. I don't remember what that show. Was it called Ubi? Yeah, that show was my guilty pleasure. Cause I would watch it and I'm like, this is so fucking stupid. Like I would be sitting there. It's my 8-year-old self. I'm like, my 8-year-old self was saying, man, this is so dumb. I would sit down and watch the whole episode.
Rather than doing nothing but numbing them so mommy and daddy can go crazy style in the back
Watch
of the house. No,
there's a
dumbass,
lore
of course
video?
I'm doing taxes. Who the f do you think I am? Anyways, let's move on to some of the potential consequences this type of behavior can lead to.
Okay.
And how its effects
Ninjago
are
is
already
fire
being
too.
felt by many today.
Future consequences.
Although it's not exactly a well-studied topic, the effects of this constant iPad exposure have been reported by some people on YouTube who have audience members who have discussed their experiences with this kind of gross content on YouTube. In his video on ElsaGate, Turkey Tom read through a post on the r/ElsaGate subreddit asking users if that form of content had any negative effects on them growing up.
Okay.
Here's some excerpts. Again, remember this is Reddit, people like to lie, so take some of these with a grain of salt.
I don't know. I still don't
This
understand
user
what
says,
ElsaGate is.
quote, gonna come out and say, well, I don't remember actually watching ElsaGate at the time. I was in the age group or maybe a bit above it. I think I was about 10, but still willing to watch these videos. And I do remember thinking poop was arousing.
I don't believe the word they're saying after this. I don't believe a single word. No. That is doing anything for clout right there, bro. That is cap. No, move on.
Thinking back, I'm 99% sure it was ElsaGate that put that idea in my head, though it's thankfully gone now.
Stop it.
Shit, thank God. They're not the only one either, with this user saying, quote, I've heard a lot of people claim that they watched ElsaGate videos during their most popular years and now have either become the desensitized to gore, or even have certain fetishes that were shown in the videos. Pregnancy, needles, piss, whatever.
Pregnancy kink. Who sees a woman with a baby in their stomach and they're like, you know what? I know what I want to do with that. I don't understand it. Trent, I don't understand it, but piss needles. Imagine getting like you getting dogged out while someone's stitching your ear. And you're just like, oh yes. Oh, stitch it one more time. Loop it again. Oh, loop it one more time. Oh.
Jesus. The evidence is anecdotal at best, but I believe the people who share these stories. Let's take this with a grain of salt, but there's some potential merit to what's being said here. Often, as children, the things we are regularly exposed to most frequently become normal to us. On top of this, the effects of kids being constantly put in front of screens can potentially lead to dangerous scenarios down the road. Call this a slippery slope, and
I heard kids are horrible now in school. I heard kids are horrible. Oh my God, I heard they're bad. Thank God I did not have. I'm so glad I didn't have to grow up in Gen Alpha. I'm glad in the generation I grew up in, because I had enough fun on my iPad, and I'm glad I had my iPad. Like, I'm glad I didn't have to grow up without it. But I'm also glad with the amount of time I was outside. You know, I liked the mixture that we had growing up. Gen Z, I liked our mix. I think we had a nice, calming mix. But I can't say too much because I'm on the deep end now. I'm on the internet all the time. I'm no better than these kids. The only difference is my brain is just semi-developed. Not too developed, though. You know, sometimes I be peeing in the shower. I'm like, should I poo too? Should I just so I just poo and let it drip down the drain? So my brain not all the way there.
Sure as hell doesn't apply to everyone, but I think most people can universally agree, putting aside conditions such as autism, social interaction is a workout for someone's social abilities. It's a muscle that needs to be worked out. So putting a child in front of a screen all day seems like a surefire way to let that social muscle atrophy into proverbial bone. I wonder if any of you watching this can attest to this. Growing up constantly behind a screen becoming a comfortable place, so you can just play games a lot and only interact with people on Discord. I leave you all with this question. Why do you think most of the toxic road teens that prowl Discord act the way they do? Because the internet and Discord is their world, and to look beyond that is hard, so they stay focused on a world they're able to create and curate themselves, and it completely envelops their real lives. Anyways, I digress.
And that's why they become pansexual? Like, why'd you show that up? What was the purpose of that?
I hope I didn't directly call any of you out. So let's end this tangent before I start rambling. Do you, the person watching this, believe that this kind of behavior could be an unfortunate future consequence for many kids who have been shoved in front of an iPad for hours at a time? Do you disagree with anything I've said or have a story of your own to tell?
I agree with you. I feel like coming up, this next generation of kids, they are gonna have it rough when they have to step outside. They're gonna have it real rough because I have it rough when I step outside. That's maybe because I have a constant feeling of having diarrhea in my stomach, but they're gonna have it rough.